All right, once you have created an account on Heroku and once you've deployed applications on Heroku, you'll find a list of all the applications that you've deployed. So the last one that we deployed was Powerful Mesa. There it is, that one. And if you open the app, notice that indeed it's that application there, right? One of the things that you might want to get familiar here with is that you can go to the more and you can look at the logs, right? Logs tell you when the server deploys, when you restart the logs. You can look at the remote logs here. You can also take a look at them from your command line. You can say Heroku tail, and that'll create a running tail, right, of what the logs are doing, right? So that if there's an exception, it's a good debugging tool. You should keep a tail running, just to make sure that your changes haven't broken anything. Anyway, so we want to add a database to this. So to add a database to this, we can head over to the Heroku marketplace. No, I don't want to sign up. And here you can search for any number of MySQL databases, or even Mongo databases, right? One of the ones that I like in Mongo is like MLab. It's pretty cool. These are all remotely hosted, right? So you might have Heroku running, somewhere here in the U.S., where the database is running somewhere in Europe, and the browser person who's visiting your application might be somewhere in India, right? So you have three machines, right, that are connecting through a network. So these are this certainly can be geographically disparate applications running all over the place. Anyway, so let's take a look at MySQL. I'm going to add ClearDB, MySQL. There's a whole bunch of them. This has sort of worked for me. Let's install that. And you need to type here the name of the application that you want to associate it with. Right? In this case, we'll choose a Powerful Mesa, and we'll say provision. As that's happening, if I go back to my, notice that the server is knowing that it's being notified that now you have a database associated with you. Also, we can see in the overview that that now we have a ClearDB MySQL database associated there. If you add any other databases or any other resources, they will be displayed here as well. Okay, you can navigate to ClearDB to see some additional meta information there. Where'd it go? Although there's not much here that we need. It has some dashboards showing you what your traffic is, what's your usage, some statistics that for our purposes we're not going to be doing a lot of heavyweight database access, so that we would need anything like this. It does have username and password here as well, but a better place to grab that to be able to connect to the database is actually in the settings. If you go to settings and you reveal configuration variables, you'll see that having added the database added this configuration variable here called ClearDB database URL. And this URL here is a connection string that you can use to connect to the database remotely. Okay, if you copy it, you'll notice that it has a particular syntax. It has this syntax that all starts with MySQL. The first here is a username, followed by the password, followed by the machine address, followed by the name of the schema. You can ignore the last piece. Right? That's just configuring the connection. Right? So let's see if we can connect to it using MySQL. Let's add a connection here, and we'll call this CS5200 Summer 2018. We'll copy the name of the username and we'll paste it here. That's the username. There it is. We'll copy the password. We'll copy the name of the machine as a DB host name. We'll paste it in there. And the schema. There's our schema. We'll test the connection. Once the password, I thought I gave it the password. Password. Save. Okay. Okay, so the database, we were successful connecting to it. We'll say OK. And then we can say OK and actually connect. There it is. We're connected. We can now start creating tables and whatnot. Just to verify that we have connection, that we have a working environment, we can create a table, maybe a hello table, that has an ID, which is a primary key that is automatically created for us and has a message that is a varchar, maybe a little bigger. And we can apply, and that's the schema that the create statement that creates the table. Notice that because we configure to be auto increments, it adds that constraint. We call these constraints in database, right? This is saying that I'm creating this field and I am constraining it, saying that this only allows integers. And the database is going to handle the auto creating the values one at a time. I'm also saying that messages is a field that can only contain a varchar. I am removing the constraints that these cannot be null, meaning they can be null. It is okay that these have no values, and I am constraining this ID as being the primary key, meaning that it has to be unique. Right, there cannot be two IDs that are the same, and also by constraining it as a primary key, I'm also saying that this field can participate in relationships with other tables, meaning other tables might refer to this primary key, right, to establish a relationship between the two, right? If this were a course, and there might be a faculty, a course might refer to a faculty. Saying, hey, that's the faculty who's teaching this course, okay? So the faculty might have a primary key, and the course might have a foreign key that refers to the primary key, right? So that's a constraint, and basically we are asking the database, with all these constraints, we're asking the database to please enforce certain constraints. Make sure that this is unique, make sure that that these relationships are okay, make sure that this is an integer, make sure that this is a varchar, as opposed to when we do non-relational databases, when we get to Mongo, there are no schemas, right? So a lot of the things that I'm saying today about constraints and making sure this and making sure that, that's going to go out the window when we get to non-relational databases, right? And that'd be a little bit disconcerting for us folks that come from a relational world. All right, yeah, it created it, and we can insert into the database, doing an insert statement here. Here's the insert statement. Since we're using auto increment, we don't really need the ID. We don't really need this first field. So we're letting the database decide what the value of that primary key is. But here we can certainly insert some values. Maybe this is a hello world. And maybe we can have another one. And this is life is good. We can execute both. Both inserts succeeded. And then we can do a query to see that indeed they made it into a database. There it is, right? So they are in there. So a little later we'll see how we can programmatically hit the database, right, and retrieve all these things. The first a few weeks are us interacting with the database manually, right, directly, getting our hands dirty with directly interacting with the database. All right.